Hey, this is Andrew Jones. You watch On Deck with Tyler.
Hey guys, Mike Nevers here. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Hi, this is Phil Necro. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
This is Mark the Banks. I'm on deck. Tyler Redmond.
Welcome into On Deck. I'm Tyler Redmond. As always, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell for notifications so you can stay up to date with all things Atlanta Braves baseball. Now, there's some big news in Braves country. Some big news that can affect the outfield, some big news that can affect the DH position, and even some big news that can affect the starting rotation, believe it or not. So, Markakis has now opted back into the 2020 season. And what a crazy year 2020 has been so far around the world, around the country, around Major League Baseball. And if you remember, July 6th, Markakis opted out of the 2020 season for reasons with coronavirus. He had a conversation with Freddie Freeman, who sounded awful over the phone because of his symptoms with COVID-19. And that ultimately swayed Markakis to opt out for his own personal reasons, which I think we all here can understand perfectly fine. But he has now opted back in, and I'm going to quote him rather than talk about it. He was quoted as saying, "Sitting at home, watching those guys compete, and all of the risks that they were going through out there, in the pit of my stomach, I felt I wanted to be out there." So he realized this was possible after a phone conversation with Alex Anthopoulos. So I didn't realize this was possible. I think a lot of people didn't realize this was possible. Heck, Nick Markakis didn't know it was possible. So now that he's found out, he's back in. You got to wonder how long it's going to take for him to get ready. You got to wonder what his role is going to be on the field this year. I would imagine some form in the lineup. He's one of the most consistent bats the Braves have had in the past 5 years or more. So we're 3 weeks in, and again, you got to wonder how long it's going to take for him to get ready. But we've always heard he's a professional hitter, so I would imagine that it won't take as long as it would a young player, right? He's a veteran. He's been here before. He's had those slumps. I think he's got to battle through that slump eventually. But like I said, Markakis was quoted as saying that AA made his decision a lot easier. So I know we're all excited to have one of the most consistent batters in Braves country back in a uniform soon. He is currently in Gwinnett. He's practicing with the extra players in the pool, but he worked out today. He'll have some simulated games in the next coming weeks, and hopefully he'll be able to see the field at some point soon. I think we all can agree with that. And if you wonder why come back after you've opted out, you know, take a look at his stats. He's not too far from 3,000 hits. And if he can get there, it's very hard to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. I think this year could be influential in getting him to that number. I think he obviously wants to get to that number. He hit 285 last year with 9 homers and 62 RBIs. And he's got consistent, solid at-bats, and he's a veteran outfielder. He's a pro's pro. He's a guy you want on your team. So I'm very excited to have Nick Markakis back. But on another note, after that phone call, another thing you have to worry about is who is Alex Anthopoulos working on over the phone other than Markakis? Because obviously our problem is not in the outfield. It's not even offensively. Our problem is our starting pitching right now. And there's just not room in the outfield for Markakis and everybody else. There's not even room at the DH spot for Markakis and everybody else. So depth is important, but we don't have depth at starting pitching. You probably see where I'm going with this. I just look for the Braves to go shopping before the trade deadline, which is August 31st, right? So my gut feeling is that we're going to make a move to shore up our rotation, because the roster moves today were Contreras and Jackson went down, Tyler Flowers and Travis d'Arnaud both came up. That was to be expected. The other move was that Sabatka went down and Schebler took his spot. We got Schebler a couple weeks ago. You can see my video on that right here. But we got to think we don't need Schebler right now. You got to think he's being showcased. And we got to feel like we're going to go shopping for starting pitching. So having the top minor league system is nice, right? But it's not doing you any good right now. This is a sprint, not a marathon this year. And we're not going to win it without excellent starting pitching. So I would think that we're most likely going to either trade an outfielder and or a catcher, plus perhaps a young prospect. And I think we have 2 starters inked in. The others are penciled in. The ones that are inked in are obvious. That's Mike Soroka and Max Fried. And the two that are penciled in right now are Sean Newcomb and Kyle Wright. And I like what I saw out of Kyle Wright. I'm going to take him at his word and believe him on the saliva on the ball case. He was electric for 2 innings until he lost feel of the ball. So I like what I saw out of him. Hopefully he can adjust to the new rules with spitting and things like that with coronavirus. Hopefully that'll be the case, and he'll have a great 2020 season going forward. But if the Braves do something right now, look for it to be a team. Look for it to be with a team like the Tigers, the Royals, the Blue Jays, the Rangers, someone not necessarily in the hunt like the Braves are. The Braves are looking to compete. Some of these other teams are not. They're in rebuilding stages. So I could see a deal somehow involving Lance Lynn or Mike Minor, former Atlanta Brave, in Texas, or possibly Ryu with the Blue Jays because Alex Anthopoulos was once there. And he's got connections there. And we've seen a lot of former Blue Jays come through Atlanta. Josh Donaldson, Jose Bautista. I could see a move like that. But they're coming for the young stars. Those other teams want prospects. They don't want the aged outfielder. So you got to throw the aged outfielder in with a prospect. That's how they do addition through subtraction. So I think we're for sure making a trade. I think we're for sure going after starting pitching. But if we're going to have this conversation about Markakis, I'm just going to go out and throw this out there. King Felix, you can opt back in. It is possible. Markakis has proven it. I think Braves country would embrace you right now. And on a serious note, this could be a turnaround year and a comeback postseason destined story for Felix Hernandez. Will he do it? Maybe. I think Braves country would be all over it. But we can't bet on that. We have to go through our other options and see about a trade. The other thing is that, Mike Fultonevich was just designated for assignment. He could potentially be thrown into a trade right now. So you throw him in, Schebler, and possibly a young prospect, you could get a really solid starting pitcher. Will that happen? We'll have to wait and see. But if I had to make a guess, that's where I'm leaning right now, is we're going after starting pitching, and we're going to use what we have. Like I said, we never really know what Alex Anthopoulos is up to. But if you don't believe everything I just said, look into last year. Look at what Alex Anthopoulos did last year. Chris Martin, Shane Green, Mark Melanson. They all came within a period of time right around the trade deadline. And what an impact they made. Hopefully he'll be able to make a splash like that this year with starting pitching, because the Braves definitely need it if they're going to win this sprint. You don't win a sprint through mediocre starting pitching. You have to have excellence in that regard. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you want to see a trade? How do you feel, about Felix Hernandez possibly returning? How do you feel about Nick Markakis returning? It's a fan favorite returning now, and I can't wait to see it personally. But how do you feel about it? Do you feel like, are you mad about him opting out to begin with? I've seen some comments like that. I'm not personally there with you, but let me know how you feel in the comment section. And how do you feel about our overall starting pitching? Like I said, we have 2 pitchers that are inked in, and we have 2 pitchers that are just penciled in. So let me know in the comment section how you feel about it. I will, of course, recap tonight's game. Mike Soroka is taking on Charlie Morton and the Tampa Bay Rays tonight, the first game for Truist Park. And, hey, now that we've hit the homestand, it won't be long before Will Smith returns to give some insurance to that bullpen that we desperately need right now. So I can't wait to see what the Braves turn into over the next couple of weeks, because, lately we haven't seen that Atlanta Braves late inning magic. We haven't seen what we need to see out of the Atlanta Braves if they want to win a championship. And I think this year it's definitely championship or bust. I really think that the Braves have that attitude, the way they're acting. I really see that is the case. They're not waiting on certain pitchers. They are making decisions to win a championship. So hopefully that will be the case. Of course, you can stay up to date right here on Deck. I try to give daily recaps. I try to give you as much Braves content as I can. I try to stay up to date with everything, hence this video right now. But, of course, if you want to follow, of course, like this video so that other Braves fans can find it. Subscribe to this channel so that you can stay up to date with all things Atlanta Braves baseball. And, of course, hit the bell for notifications so that you can be notified every time I drop a new video. That is the best thing you can do to stay up to date with all things Braves baseball right here at On Deck. But also, if you want to follow me on social media, I am Tyler Redmond at BubblegumJesus on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of the above. So if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. And hey, check out some of the other videos I have on my channel. I got interviews from former players. I have game recaps. I have all kinds of things, all things Atlanta Braves. So of course, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell for notifications. And I'll see you next time on Deck.